You know, oceans cover around 70% of Earth's surface, and we have only explored 5 to 20% of them. And now, astronomers have found more water, a huge stash floating out there in space by a quasar that's more than 12 billion light-years away. And we aren't talking about just a little puddle. It's a mind-blowing amount of water, about 140 trillion times more than all the water in Earth's oceans combined. It's hanging around a supermassive black hole that's a staggering 20 billion times bigger than our Sun. This black hole is surrounded by a super bright quasar. It gives off as much energy as you get if you gathered 1,000 trillion suns. I can't count that high. Oh, by the way, since light takes time to reach us, we're seeing this quasar as it was when the universe was still very young. Astronomers are sure that the newly discovered water reservoir is the farthest and biggest we have ever found in space. Mark Bradford from NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory explains that the environment of this quasar is so unique that it's capable of creating an incredible amount of water. Bradford's team, along with another group of astronomers, has been studying the quasar and the supermassive black hole at its center for quite some time. They've noticed that as the black hole pulls in surrounding matter, it heats up the nearby gas and dust. This process has created a region packed with molecules that have never been observed at such a great distance before. Now, quasars were first spotted around 50 years ago, when telescopes picked up super bright objects way out in space. They're not regular stars. They shine from the centers of distant galaxies and are so powerful they outshine all the stars in their galaxy combined. At the heart of every quasar is a gigantic black hole, which is millions or even billions of times heavier than the Sun. When gas and dust swirl toward the black hole, they heat up and release an insane amount of energy. It makes quasars some of the brightest and most powerful things we've ever seen in space. Looking at quasars is like looking back in time. The light we see from them today has been traveling for billions of years. It gives scientists a peek at what the universe looked like way back in the past. Quasars can help us understand how galaxies formed, how matter spread out, and how the first cosmic structures came together. Some quasars shoot out massive jets of superfast particles. Stretching across space, they can sometimes change entire regions of the universe. But let's get back to that space water, or rather water vapor. When astronomers discovered it, it was floating around the quasar, spread across a huge area hundreds of light-years wide. For comparison, just 1 light-year is about 6 trillion miles. Even though the gas there is incredibly thin, unlike what we're used to on Earth, it's much warmer and denser than the gas found in most other galaxies, including our own Milky Way. The temperature of this gas is around -63 degrees Fahrenheit, and it's about 300 trillion times less dense than Earth's atmosphere. It does sound extreme, even in space terms, it's unusual. Now, water vapor isn't just another molecule. The very fact that it exists near the quasar hints that the area is regularly blasted with radiation. That's what keeps the gas warmer than usual. To add to the mystery, astronomers also found carbon monoxide and other molecules. In other words, there's plenty of raw material floating around. In the future, this gas could help the supermassive black hole grow even bigger, up to 6 times its current size. But that's just one of many potential scenarios. Some of the gas might get pulled into the black hole, some could form new stars, and some might even get flung out into space. Now, finding water vapor in such a distant quasar means that the basic building blocks of the universe have been around for billions of years. Water is crucial for life as we know it, so its presence so long ago hints that the ingredients for life existed much earlier than we might have thought. But water isn't just important for life. It also plays a key role in how stars and galaxies form. When giant clouds of gas cool down, water helps them collapse, making it easier for new stars to be born. But how did researchers even spot this massive cloud of water? In 2008, Bradford's team started looking for water in space with the help of a special instrument called Z-spec. It was attached to a 33-foot telescope in Hawaii. To double-check their findings, they used another powerful tool, CARMA. That's a group of radio dishes in the mountains of Southern California. At the same time, a different team was searching for water using a telescope in the French Alps. In 2010, the second team found a small hint of water in the distant quasar. It was just one teeny tiny signal. After that, Bradford's group detected more signals. It was all the proof we needed to conclude that an enormous amount of water was actually out there. Now, our floating cloud of water vapor isn't the only place where we've found water beyond Earth. Scientists have recently made a huge discovery. It turns out there are massive reserves of liquid water hidden deep underground on Mars. So, in theory, future astronauts could use this water to support missions or even make Mars a long-term home. But of course, there's a catch. This water isn't sitting in nice, accessible lakes or oceans. It's buried so deep inside Mars that we have no way of reaching it with current technology. Scientists have figured this out by analyzing seismic data from the Mars InSight lander. It picked up some strange seismic activity, and the best way to explain it is by these hidden water reservoirs. Mars still does have some water today, mostly as ice on or just beneath the surface. But that's nothing compared to the massive amounts of water the planet had billions of years ago. The big mystery is, where did all that water go? Scientists think it could have either escaped into space or moved into the planet's interior, where it might now be trapped as liquid reservoirs or ice deposits. The problem? We have no way of measuring how much water Mars lost. So for now, that question remains unanswered. Earth's moon has water too, but not in the way you might think. Instead of lakes or rivers, the moon's water is mostly frozen ice, spread out unevenly across the surface. The cold, shadowed poles are especially full of it, since they never get sunlight. A lot of this ice is also mixed in with lunar soil and buried deep underground, making it super tricky to get to. Then there's Enceladus, one of Saturn's moons. It's tiny, just 314 miles across. It's small enough to fit inside Arizona. I think we should try that. Anyway, when NASA's Cassini space probe arrived at Saturn, scientists expected Enceladus to be a barren, frozen world. But instead, they saw huge plumes of icy particles and water vapor erupting from geysers near the South Pole. That meant there had to be a massive ocean hiding beneath its icy shell, sandwiched between the moon's rocky core and the frozen surface. The fact that this ocean is active and constantly sending material into space makes Enceladus a top candidate for future exploration. We also have Europa, one of Jupiter's moons, and one of the most promising places to search for alien life. Europa has a gigantic saltwater ocean that could be 40 to 100 miles deep. This means it might hold more water than all of Earth's oceans combined. But there's a big obstacle. This ocean is hidden under a thick ice shell, which scientists think is 10 to 20 miles deep. Europa's ocean stays liquid because of tidal forces from Jupiter's gravity. The planet's massive pull stretches and squeezes the moon, creating friction, which heats up the interior, stopping the ocean from freezing solid. And the most exciting part is that scientists think water plumes might be erupting from cracks in Europa's ice, shooting ocean water into space. Now, if that's true, we could potentially sample the ocean without having to drill through miles of ice. But there are still a lot of unknowns. How big are Europa's water reservoirs? How quickly do they refreeze? And how does the intense temperature and pressure affect the ice? Scientists are eager to figure this out because Europa's ocean is one of the best bets we have for finding extraterrestrial microbes somewhere in our solar system. This signal had been traveling through space for 200 million years, and now, when it finally reached Earth, it brought a fascinating story with itself. It might even help us solve an 18-year-long mystery. We caught this one in 2022. It was such an intense burst of radio waves. Even though it lit up for a fraction of a second, it outshined entire galaxies. At first, this signal hasn't caught attention because we've seen similar things before. It was a fast radio burst, or FRB for short. These guys have been a mystery for years now, all because we have no idea where they come from. Now, FRBs are brief booms of energy coming to us from all over outer space. They're barely catchable, lasting up to 3 seconds. But they're also very hard to miss, because their power is absolutely unimaginable. One little burst can release as much energy as the sun does in an entire day. They've been a puzzle for us ever since 2007. We've caught over 1,000 of those signals from literally everywhere, from our own galaxy to places as far as 8 billion light-years away. And none of them revealed where they're coming from or what they mean. At least we know they're not from extraterrestrial creatures. They have to be coming from something that happens nearly constantly, and this recent signal might finally help us learn the truth. It lasted about 2 milliseconds, and it wasn't particularly bright. But when researchers took a closer look, they realized they can actually finally track this one. They got to it immediately. They saw that the burst came from a galaxy about 200 million light-years away. In other words, this is exactly how long these radio waves have been traveling to us. The signal flickered in a weird pattern. This is what we call a scintillation. When light or radio waves travel to us, they can stumble upon unexpected crazy clouds of gas. The particles in light waves start bouncing off this gas, which disturbs the signal a little bit. So when we received it, it was a bit weird and distorted, kind of like me. But this exact cloud was what helped us locate where exactly this signal came from. Turns out, it came from a neutron star. Now these are some fascinating guys. They're the remnants of stars that live fast and burn bright. When a powerful star like this, much larger than our Earth, runs out of fuel, it can no longer support its weight. So it goes away with an insane spectacle called a supernova. During its last moments, its core collapses under its own super-strong gravity, and this creates one of the densest objects in the universe. Again, a lot like me. Hey, what can I say? For curiosity, let's compare it to osmium, the most dense element on our planet. If you had a small cube of osmium, it would weigh around 0.8 pounds. That's already pretty heavy, and it means that 1 cubic foot of osmium would weigh a shocking 1,410 pounds. That's like an average cow. Now, just try to guess how much a small cube of neutron star would weigh. Wrong. It would be a horrifying 7 billion tons per one little cube. Don't even think about holding it in your hand. That thing would warp the fabric of reality around it. It's kind of like trying to imagine Mount Everest being squeezed into a tiny ball. Hard to even imagine. So even though they're so heavy, these stars are surprisingly small, only about 6 miles in radius. That's like a city size, and it would still weigh more than our sun. But if that's not enough horror for you, the neutron star we're talking about wasn't your regular one. It was a magnetar. Now, magnetar is a rare type of neutron star. When a neutron star is born, there's only a 10% chance that it will become one of those guys. It can happen if, while the star is collapsing, its magnetic field grows wildly stronger. The spin is rapid, the insides are going wild, and boom! We've got a magnetic field 1 trillion times stronger than Earth's. More than that, these are among the most extreme magnetic fields in the entire universe. They can literally rip atoms apart. Which is exactly what they do. They just rip everything apart. So they end up being surrounded by a super hot, electrically charged soup of particles called plasma. The magnetic field is going wacky, twisting, and bending the plasma as it sees fit. And this all just ends up as an ultra-hot party. Everyone is constantly colliding, scattering, and being absorbed. Not the best place for a hangout. Now, back to our main character. The magnetar in our story also had a plasma soup and a terrifying invisible field surrounding it. And this is exactly where that mysterious signal came from. A signal was born somewhere in that place, at a distance of 6,200 miles away from the magnetar. Sounds like a lot, but that's a distance shorter than a flight from New York to Singapore. But this is very weird, because how can a radio burst even escape a place like that? Now, usually they'd end up being blocked or absorbed. Most often, radio waves end up hanging out there like in a cage. This one, however, managed to break free somehow, which means that something happened that punched through the plasma. Energy somehow goes goofy, twists and reshapes itself in such ways that it starts releasing radio waves. Now, in any case, this means that FRBs most likely come from neutron stars and various types, like magnetars or pulsars. Recently, astronomers made a new amazing telescope called CHIME, the Canadian Hydrogen Intensity Mapping Experiment, a mouthful. This one detects FRBs literally every day. FRBs are full of surprises in general. In the same year, we discovered an FRB with periodic peaks lasting over 3 seconds, much longer than typical bursts. This one could also come from a neutron star. But if it was just neutron stars, we wouldn't probably receive them all that often. It looks like these signals are very diverse and might actually be born from all sorts of places, like near black holes. So there are some other theories about their origin. For example, they could come from 2 stars smashing into each other. What could be more epic than that? A collision of 2 stars would release unimaginable energy, and they destroy each other completely. Uh-oh. Some astronomers think they could explain FRBs, but of course, that's not something that happens often at all. Also, FRBs sometimes repeat. Most of them flash once and disappear, but sometimes they almost flicker like the one we discussed. Some of them even follow very precise patterns. For example, one well-known repeater follows a 16-day cycle. It goes crazy for about 4 days and then goes quiet for 12 days before starting again. This one is hard to explain even with neutron stars. There has to be some unique astrophysical mechanism at play. Maybe something that orbits something else. But anyway, a star's collision would only explain signals that flash once and never again. Another possibility is the blitzar. It's a goofy name for a very dramatic idea: a neutron star turning into a black hole. Once again, an event like that unleashes a huge burst of radio waves. But, again, an occasion like that would be incredibly rare, and the signals aren't supposed to repeat. Black holes themselves are a pretty good option, though. They're central to many FRB theories. Could these bursts come from a neutron star falling into a black hole? Or from a collapsing black hole itself? Maybe even dark matter interacting with a black hole? Hey, who knows? Let's just throw all the ideas in there. Of course, the thing that everyone's most excited about is extraterrestrial civilization. Maybe not all of these bursts, but at least some of them could be signals from our intelligent neighbors. But like we said, that's very unlikely, considering that the signals come from all over the sky and many different distances. Also, almost all of them are the same, and that would be super hard and weird from an intelligent civilization to try and reproduce. Though who knows what else we might discover in the future.
Usually, when we look at the photos of astronauts in space, we can see that they're sort of attached to the spacecraft. But there was one brave astronaut who took a wild step into the great unknown without any safety line connecting him to the shuttle. This brave man was Bruce McCandless, and he did that stunt back in 1984. How did he come back, you may ask? He did this cool trick using a nitrogen jetpack, which NASA called the Manned Maneuvering Unit. At first, he tried out some test maneuvers in the Challenger's payload bay, and only after he made sure it was all right did McCandless decide to go for it and glide a staggering 320 feet away from the shuttle. A bit of sad stats here. Out of the 430 people who have made the leap into space, 18 have sadly lost their lives, which gives us a fatality rate of just over 4%. With these numbers, it's safe to say that space shuttles are the least safe means of transport out there. Duh. Alright, let's make it a tad brighter. If we crunch the numbers a bit better, we can get a smaller percentage. But how? Well, 4% is a bit misleading because when we count, we take all the space flights. However, some people flew several times, which reduced the probability. With over 600 seats filled across 113 shuttle flights, The true fatality rate for shuttle missions is actually closer to 2%. Let's test your general knowledge now, shall we? So, what was the first living thing ever sent to space? If your answer is a monkey, you aren't right. Those who said dogs, sorry you guys, but it's not correct either. On the 9th of July, 1946, fruit flies became the first living creatures to make it to space during a suborbital V-2 rocket flight. Then, on the 20th of February, 1947, these little guys safely returned from their journey, opening the door for future human space exploration. Before, we sent to space mammals like the rhesus monkey, Albert II, in 1949, or the famous space dogs. Scientists spent a lot of time studying fruit flies to see how they reacted to radiation and the conditions of space travel. Researchers started using fruit flies for experiments back in the 1910s. Guess why? Because we humans share a lot of genes with these yucky pests. Imagine hearing some creepy music all of a sudden, when there's nothing but darkness around you and nobody is there to help you. Right, now imagine how elevated this experience was for astronauts who heard some creepy music in their space shuttle. Months before the moon landing, Apollo 10 astronauts were orbiting the moon, testing equipment, when they heard strange audio noises. Astronaut Eugene Cernan noted the eerie sounds, joking they were like weird music. At that moment, the astronauts didn't have contact with mission control. They were over the moon's dark side. Although the noises resembled something from a sci-fi film, NASA downplayed them as they were focused on the astronauts' mental health. Despite years of speculation, the source of the sounds remains unknown, with theories ranging from radio interference to charged particle activity. Cernan later remarked that they didn't take it seriously and didn't report it after the mission. Chances are, we've already received messages from new friends from other galaxies, but we just failed to understand them. In August 1977, some astronomers using the Big Ear radio telescope at Ohio University picked up a strange narrow-band radio signal from the constellation Sagittarius that lasted for 72 seconds. The signal buzzed at a frequency of 1,420 megahertz, which is significant because it matches the natural emissions from hydrogen. This frequency had been flagged by scientists almost 2 decades earlier as a likely choice for extraterrestrial civilizations trying to reach out to us. They dubbed it the WOW signal after one of the astronomers wrote "WOW" on their printout. We've never heard that signal again, and no one has been able to explain its origins satisfactorily. After spending about a month in space, astronauts start losing quite a lot of skin from the bottoms of their feet, especially those tough calluses they've built up over time. One astronaut even called mission control in a bit of a panic when he noticed a chunk of his heel drifting off in zero gravity. But no worries, as the old calluses peel away, new ones spring up from the tops of their feet. They need that grip to hold on to all the restraints, kind of like airborne trapeze artists. Going number 1 and seeing blood is as scary as it sounds, and yes, in the weightlessness of space, blood doesn't settle in the lower body in the same way it does on Earth. This can lead to some alarming situations on board. Natural urges are universal, regardless of location. There are 2 main reasons why astronauts are unable to use traditional toilets in space. First, water is an extremely valuable resource aboard a spacecraft. Second, there's no gravitational flow of water in space. The drinkable water on a space station is contained in pouches and is used accordingly. In a weightless environment, a specialized device with suction and disposable bags is used for waste collection, with the storage being replaced every 10 days. Additionally, spacecraft are equipped with complex systems designed to recycle and filter liquid waste, converting it back into usable water for the astronauts' daily needs. As if that wasn't enough, spending an extended period floating around in space brings another challenge. The body may lose its bursa sacs, those handy little cushions that sit between our hip joints. While this may not pose an immediate issue in the zero-gravity environment, returning to solid ground can turn the simple act of sitting down, whether in a chair or on a toilet, into a real struggle. The fluid shifts that contribute to blood-related issues don't stop there. They can also wreak havoc on astronauts' sinuses, creating a constant feeling of congestion. It feels like living in a stuffy room all the time, where relief seems just out of reach. Thus, the challenges of long-term space travel add up, making the experience as daunting as it is thrilling. Another challenge astronauts run into is vision loss, also known as ocular syndrome, which sounds all science-y. While the exact cause is still a bit of a mystery, it's thought that extra pressure on the brain can mess with both the retinas and optic nerves. And here's a fun fact: it mostly affects guys. By the way, you might assume that shutting your eyes in space means it's pitch black, but that's not the case. Because of high levels of radiation, astronauts can still see bright lights when they zip through certain parts of their orbit. It's a pretty strange phenomenon that keeps them on their toes, even with their eyes closed. Switching gears, let's talk about bone health in space. It turns out that being weightless can really take a toll on astronauts' bones. Like, they can lose up to 2% of their bone mass every month, which is pretty wild. But the good news? They've come up with new exercise routines that help fight off that bone loss. So, while space travel definitely has its challenges, researchers are working hard to keep astronauts in tip-top shape as they explore the universe. The Big Crunch is a cool theory about how the universe might end, and it's basically the opposite of the Big Bang. So, imagine the universe expanding for ages, but then it hits the brakes and starts collapsing in on itself, maybe even forming a huge black hole. Scientists are looking into this by checking out the universe's density. If it's too dense, such a collapse might really happen. At first, people thought that gravity would eventually take over and stop the expansion from the Big Bang. But then we found this mysterious thing called dark energy, which is actually speeding up the universe's expansion. Because of that, it seems like the Big Crunch is pretty unlikely. Right now, the evidence shows that dark energy is here to stay, so the universe will just keep on expanding forever.
At first, it may seem like the sun is burning, but it's actually not true, because the burning of our star isn't chemical combustion, it's nuclear fusion. The sun can't run out of oxygen or stop burning because it doesn't use oxygen to burn. Regular carbon combustion requires oxygen. As soon as there's no oxygen, the process of burning stops. Now imagine a candle. If you cover it, it doesn't have access to oxygen anymore, and the process of burning stops. But in nuclear fusion, the nuclei of atoms are fused together to make new, bigger nuclei. Such changes cause atoms to become new elements. Nuclear fusion doesn't require oxygen or any other material altogether. You just need enough pressure or heat to squeeze the nuclei of atoms close enough for them to overcome their electrostatic repulsion and bond into one nucleus. In 2027, two teams of astronomers discovered a cloud of water floating in open space. It was the largest and farthest reservoir of water ever detected in the universe. It's a cloud of water vapor surrounding a huge black hole called a quasar, 12 billion light-years away from Earth. The environment around the quasar must be unique to somehow produce such giant masses of water. It was formed by energy waves colliding hydrogen and oxygen atoms together. The cloud contains 140 trillion times the entire volume of water on our planet. It could provide each person on our planet with a planet's worth of water 20,000 times over. Wow! Even cooler, astronomers believe this water cloud appeared just 1.6 billion years later than the universe itself. Scientists consider it another demonstration that water exists throughout the universe and was present already during its early days. At the same time, before this discovery, scientists had never found water vapor present so far back in the early universe. There is water in our home Milky Way galaxy, but most of it is frozen in ice. Not only water is floating out there in space, alcohol too. In 2009, scientists were examining a massive cloud of gas and dust in the center of our galaxy when they stumbled upon a surprise. There was ethyl formate within the cloud. This chemical is responsible for the sweet flavor of raspberries. They also found one more cool region. This one was brimming with ethyl alcohol, the same type found in many beverages. At the North Pole of Saturn, a mysterious storm is raging. It's ginormous, spanning an area larger than our planet and showcasing a beautiful but baffling hexagonal pattern. No one has understood yet why the storm has such a bizarre shape. After the hexagon was first discovered in 1987, it remained hidden in darkness up to the moment when sunlight exposed it again. Soon afterward, the Cassini spacecraft, designed to explore the Saturn system, provided a series of captivating images and even a video of the hexagonal storm. It turned out to be colossal in size. Its estimated depth is around 180 miles, and the eye of the storm is 50 times as large as the typical storm on Earth. The storm is also changing its color from blue to gold. Winds of hydrogen and ammonia surround the storm and move at more than 300 miles per hour. The storm has several centers. Some of them move clockwise, and others follow a counterclockwise direction. The largest vortex appears to be white, and it's twice larger than the standard hurricane on our planet. As for the hexagon itself, it's a jet stream made up of atmospheric gases. Experts refer to it as just a current of air and weather features. But there is one intriguing detail: a vortex sitting at a higher altitude than Saturn's clouds. It looks like a large towering structure. Saturn's auroras, triggered by the planet's magnetic field, are located atop of the hexagon, giving its appearance a mystical vibe. Astronomers have found a giant, likely active volcano near Mars's equator. It was literally hiding in plain sight. It's ancient and deeply eroded, but seems to be still functioning. There may even be remnants of a glacier ice near its base. That's why this discovery might indicate a promising new location to search for life, as well as a potential destination for future human and robotic exploration. The structure is still awaiting its official name. At the moment, it's referred to as the Noctis Volcano. It reaches a height of 29,600 feet and spans an impressive 280 miles across. Such a giant size indicates that the volcano has been active for a very long time. In its southeastern part, there's a thin, recent volcanic deposit, and beneath, glacier ice might still be present. At a distance of 700 million light-years away from Earth, there's a gaping hole, a blank void with no galaxies, stars, planets, or asteroids, literally nothing. The void is a roughly spherical region about 330 million light-years across. Our home Milky Way galaxy could fit there billions of times over. That's the mysterious Bootes void. It lies in the constellation of Bootes, the herdsman driving the plow around the North Pole. At first, this void had the name of the Great Nothing, but later it was given its current name. Now, we know that galaxies look like a giant web. Most of them are parts of long structures called filaments. Those wind through the cosmos, and when they meet, they form regions with a high concentration of galaxies. These regions are what we know as galaxy clusters, but between these clusters and threads, there are enormous empty voids that hardly contain any galaxies. Such voids actually make up almost 80% of the observable universe, and most of them are huge, from 30 to 300 million light-years wide. The Bootes void is one of the most massive ones. It has even earned the title of supervoid. Astronomers think it might be the result of a few smaller voids merging together. There is a diamond planet out there that orbits a star in the constellation of Cancer. completing one full rotation in a mere 18 Earth hours. The planet's scientific name is 55 Cancri e. The radius of this faraway world is twice as large as Earth's, and its mass is 8 times greater. The planet is scorching hot, the temperatures on the day side reaching almost 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit. But the coolest thing about 55 Cancri e is that, according to some specialists, at least a third of the planet's mass could be diamond. That's the equivalent of around 3 masses of our home planet. Sounds like big money floating out there in space. How about we calculate how much this planet could be worth? Wait, someone has already done it, and the number is astronomical, pun intended, of course. It's 26.9 nonillion, and if you're confused by this number as I am, that's 26.9 followed by 30 zeros. Now, for comparison, one of the most expensive diamonds on Earth ever is the Cullion. It costs a whopping $2 billion, and its original weight was a mind-boggling 3,106.75 carats. It was, and still is, the largest raw gem diamond ever found. Later it was cut into many small diamonds. The largest of them is Cullion 1, which also goes by the name of Star of Africa. It has a carat weight of about 530, but imagine how much bigger and more expansive the Diamond Planet is. Nebulas are gigantic clouds of gas and dust, and some of them can have really unusual shapes, as if they were made this way on purpose. With time, gravity starts to pull these clumps of dust and gas together. They grow larger and larger, and their gravity gets more powerful. One day, this mass becomes so big that it collapses under its own gravity and forms new stars. Among some of the most beautiful nebulas out there, we must mention the Butterfly Nebula. Its wingspan is more than 3 light-years, and the structure inside the nebula is one of the most complicated ever observed. The central star, a white dwarf, is heated to an incredible 450,000 degrees Fahrenheit. It means it formed from a giant gargantuan star, likely more than 5 times the size of our Sun. The white dwarf is surrounded by a thick disk of dust and gas at the equator. It's what probably makes the whole structure look like an hourglass or a butterfly. The Ring Nebula looks like a giant cloud of dust and gas surrounding an old, almost extinguished star. At first sight, it does look like a ring, but astronomers say the nebula isn't a bagel, it's a jelly-filled donut. They must be hungry. The deep space colorful object, more than 2,000 light-years away from Earth, is actually a ring that wraps around a blue ball-shaped structure. Each end of the structure sticks out of the ring's opposite sides. The pillars of creation look like something out of this world. See for yourself. They're located 7,000 light-years away from Earth in the Eagle Nebula. That's a young cluster of stars just 5.5 million years old. On a space scale, they're just babies. Once, the Hubble Space Telescope managed to take an image of several dark silhouettes near the nebula's center. And now you can see them with your own eyes. Those are the so-called pillars of creation, an active star-forming region. Look at this famous image. The blue colors represent oxygen, red is sulfur, and green means the presence of both hydrogen and nitrogen. The pillars are also bathed in the ultraviolet light coming from a nearby cluster of young stars. Unfortunately, the winds from those stars are slowly but steadily eroding the magnificent towers of gas and dust. Far out in space, a ghostly, super-ancient galaxy is floating all alone. It shines with a faint glimmer of starlight and has hardly changed for billions of years. Astronomers have no idea why it's there or how it formed. Meet DGSATI, a living fossil galaxy. It's as big as the Milky Way, but is nearly invisible because its stars are spread out incredibly thinly. But what makes the galaxy so unique is that it's sitting all alone, unlike other galaxies of this kind, which are usually found in clusters. It might mean that DGSATI was formed in a different era, probably a mere 1 billion years after the Big Bang. If it's true, the galaxy is a real living fossil. Astronomers have discovered the most massive stellar black hole ever spotted in our home Milky Way galaxy. This newly found space monster is 33 times bigger than the Sun and sits 2,000 light-years away from us. Until recently, the largest stellar black hole found residing in our galaxy has been around 20 times as big as our star in terms of mass. As for the average stellar mass black hole, it's usually about 10 times as hefty as the Sun. Scientists spotted the giant black hole after a star started to wobble while orbiting in that area. The black hole got the name of Gaia BH3. The proximity of this space object to Earth makes it the second closest to our planet black hole ever discovered. The nearest one is called Gaia BH1. Makes sense. It's hanging out around 1,560 light-years away from us. This uncomfortably close neighbor has a mass of around 9.6 times that of the Sun. That means it's way smaller than the newly found black hole. Gaia BH3 is located in the Aquila constellation. From Earth, it seems to have the shape of an eagle. Interestingly, astronomers didn't expect to find a high-mass black hole lurking so relatively close to Earth and remaining undetected for so long. Now look at this marvelous exoplanet. It resembles a giant eyeball hanging out there in space. But it isn't the coolest thing about it. This distant world, identified in 2017, is one of the most promising places for finding life outside our solar system. The exoplanet is called LHS 1140b, and it shows signs of having a global ocean capped in ice. It's that very iris, a huge region around 2,500 miles across, which is constantly gazing at its host star. The planet has a radius of about 1.73 times the radius of Earth, and is 5.6 times as massive as our home planet. The giant eyeball planet orbits much more closely to its star than Earth does. It needs just around 25 days to complete an entire orbit. If the star were similar to our Sun, such a distance would definitely be too close for life to appear on the planet. But instead, it's a cool and dim red dwarf. That's why the exoplanet lies in the habitable zone of its star, where it's not so cold that all surface water would freeze, and not so close that this water would steam away. At the moment, LHS 1140b looks like the most promising candidate for hosting life in our planetary neighborhood. Solar flares are extremely powerful bursts of electromagnetic radiation that can last from minutes to hours. They occur when there's some magnetic disturbance in the Sun. Then, magnetic field lines in the atmosphere of our star get tangled and snap. This releases giant amounts of excess energy, including ultraviolet radiation and intense X-rays. These twisted lines appear in sunspots. Those are darker and cooler regions on the surface of the Sun. They form when magnetic fields that used to hide deep within our star rise up to the surface. As for coronal mass ejections, or CMEs, which are launched by solar flares, they're sent outward into space. They hit planets, satellites, and basically any objects in their path. Those that come across Earth trigger geomagnetic storms, which in most cases result not only in beautiful auroras, but also in power grid failures and satellite malfunctions. All these extreme solar phenomena, CMEs, sunspots, and solar flares, get much more intense during the peak of the Sun's 11-year-long activity cycle. It's known as solar maximum. Right before this event, the Sun steps up its activity. It starts to spit out giant blobs of fiery plasma, emits powerful streams of radiation, and grows planet-sized spots. At first, experts were sure that the current solar cycle would reach its peak in 2025. But judging by recent numerous sunspots, intense solar storms, and some other rare solar phenomena, Solar maximum is likely to arrive sooner than that. This planet is as light as a piece of fluff stuck to your jacket. In the scientific world, its name is WASP 193b, but we'll call it the Cotton Candy Planet. It's located around 1,200 light-years from us. We'll never see it with our own eyes, but scientists say the Cotton Candy Planet is pretty much Jupiter's bigger, bouncier cousin. It has an extremely low density. Combined with other factors, like its high temperature and the infrared brightness of its host star, it makes it special. Interestingly, the planet's radius is just 1.46 times the radius of Jupiter, but its mass is a mere 0.139 times of our gas giant. May I have a close-up here, please? Thank you. See how fluffy it is? It would be absolutely impossible to stand on its surface should you ever reach this distant world. It's not often that you can meet something like WASP 193b at a planetary party. Such planets are rare. Their fluffiness might be caused by their planet stars. Those heat them, puffing them up like a marshmallow that's seen too much campfire action. The planet's super low density makes it a real anomaly among those 5,000-plus exoplanets we have already discovered.
In April 2023, astronomers found something exciting: a runaway black hole. This thing is moving through the universe at an incredible speed, about 3.5 million miles per hour. It's 4.5 thousand times faster than the speed of sound. They found it accidentally. Researchers noticed that there was some weird straight line in Hubble images. After some digging, they realized there was a moving black hole. As it moves, it compresses the gas on its path, literally creating new stars along its journey. So it's leaving a beautiful, long trail of stars behind it. And when I say long, I mean it. Its tail is 200,000 light-years long, which is like the length of 2 Milky Ways. Turns out one end of this star trail connects to a distant small galaxy. This is probably where the black hole came from. Most likely there were 2 supermassive black holes whirling around each other. And then another galaxy came along with its own supermassive black hole and ejected one of the original ones like a mean kid, which is why it's called Runaway. There might be a 9th planet with the very original name, Planet 9, in our solar system. If it exists, it's probably somewhere far beyond Pluto. Astronomers think so because some rocky objects near Neptune move in a weird way as if they were influenced by the gravity of a large, unseen planet. Planet 9 might be a gas or ice giant 7 times the mass of Earth. One of the ideas is that it could have existed in our solar system, but then bumped into something huge and ended up with a crazy long orbit around our sun. If we actually discover it, it could change our understanding of the solar system. A new telescope is coming soon, equipped with the largest digital camera ever built, and it will start scanning the sky in 2025. Maybe it will finally spot this mysterious planet. Another awesome discovery was made in 2023. The James Webb Space Telescope found over 500 planet-like objects in the Orion Nebula. Some of them are roughly the mass of Jupiter, so they're literally called Jupiter mass binary objects, or jumbos. They just float out there with no stars, and they're not really stars or planets themselves. What's even crazier is that in about 42 pairs of them, the objects are orbiting each other, even though planets aren't supposed to do that. On top of that, such large objects shouldn't form and exist without a star at all. So now, astronomers are trying to explain this. Perhaps jumbos have formed in places where there was enough stuff for big planet-like objects, but not enough for stars? Or maybe all of them were ejected from their star systems for some reason. Who knows? But now we definitely need to study them. The black hole in the center of our galaxy, Sagittarius A star, used to be super weird. Luckily, it didn't run away like that other one, but it was completely crazy in the past. Astronomers found 2 supermassive structures called the Fermi bubbles and Rosetta bubbles. They spanned about half the width of our entire galaxy, and they've been towering over the Milky Way for over 2 million years now. And scientists think that it's our black hole that created them. It seems like when it was at its peak activity, it had a wild, energetic eruption that lasted about 100,000 years. This event probably left these bubbles. In 2023, the James Webb Space Telescope took a striking, super detailed image of the so-called Herbig-Haro objects. These objects are called Herbig-Haro 46/47. They're basically young stars surrounded by beautiful patches of nebulosity. You can see the stars being surrounded by a disk of material that feeds them as they grow for millions of years. They're located at about 1,470 light-years away, but they're actually not our main topic of discussion. What's much more interesting is this weird thing right below them, a space structure that looks like a question mark. What is this thing? No one knows for sure. It has an orange-red color, which hints that it might be super distant, far from our galaxy, maybe even billions of light-years away. Some think that this strange question mark is probably the result of 2 or more galaxies merging together. One of them was a bit curved, so it's probably a distorted spiral galaxy. The curve might be the tails being stripped off as they spiral towards each other. The other one was rounder and smaller, like a regular spherical one. The gravity games never fail to amaze us. Astronomers started searching for extraterrestrial megastructures. They think that if there's another intelligent civilization out there, they could have built something incredibly huge to power their technology. For example, like Dyson spheres. Hypothetical structures around stars that use the star's energy as fuel. Astronomers analyzed some historical telescope data that detects infrared signals. They spotted some weird signals that could hint at the presence of these structures. In total, there are 7 such candidates right now. All of them are coming from red dwarf stars, which are redder, smaller, and less massive than the Sun. Another research institute found 53 potential candidates. They're still not sure what exactly causes these signals, but it could be not Dyson spheres, but some huge debris. It looks like there are some mysterious structures in the center of our galaxy. In 2023, the James Webb Space Telescope has taken a detailed picture of the Sagittarius C region. It's right near the center of the Milky Way. This image showed a dense area where stars are forming. There were many young stars and dark clouds that blocked the light from the stars behind them. That's a very packed place, with about 500,000 stars of different ages, sizes, and colors. This place is very chaotic and extreme. Now, scientists are using it to study star formation. But the weird part is that they noticed something else, the large region of ionized hydrogen. It looks like cyan in the image. This area is about 25 light-years long, surrounding the lower side of dense cloud. And it looks like there are some needle-like structures. They seem to be located randomly, and astronomers have no idea what they are. So now they have to study this in more detail. Astronomers have found a super rare, massive galaxy. It's called JWST 7329, and it's absolutely ancient. Our entire universe is about 13.8 billion years old, but the stars in this galaxy seem to have formed around 13 billion years ago, so just around 800 million years after the Big Bang. Also, this venerable elder has 4 times more mass in stars than our Milky Way does today. This strange discovery challenges what we know about galaxy formation and the nature of dark matter. Everything we know tells us that galaxies shouldn't have formed so early. There shouldn't have been enough dark matter for that, but here we are. So, perhaps our models need some revision. There was an incredible astronomical event called AT 2021 LWX, which is also called Scary Barbie. It was an unbelievably bright burst of energy that happened on April 13, 2021. It's one of the most energetic space events ever observed. No galaxies or quasars were nearby. So what in the world happened? At first, astronomers thought that it was caused by a supermassive black hole pulling in a massive star. But after some studying, they think it's probably because a giant black hole had some crazy dinner. It probably ate a large amount of gas, possibly a giant molecular cloud. The titanic black hole in question is between 100 million and a billion times the mass of the Sun. This is one of the most massive known and active black holes. Astronomers found the oldest strand of the cosmic web ever seen. The cosmic web is what we call a huge structure of the universe that's made of interconnected filaments of galaxies and dark matter. They're like a framework for galaxies and other structures, playing a crucial role in their formation. The filament we're talking about is made up of 10 closely packed galaxies. It's unimaginably huge, stretching over 3 million light-years. And it looks like the newly discovered strand is very ancient. It occurred only 830 million years after the Big Bang. It's probably anchored by a luminous quasar. This discovery makes us question how exactly galaxies are formed and what exactly happened to our universe after the Big Bang.
Strange explosions in vibrant blue colors are popping up around the universe and keeping astronomers intrigued. This rare and incredibly powerful event has a fancy name: luminous fast blue optical transient. This phenomenon doesn't behave like anything else we know of, and things got even stranger when the most recent one happened in a spot it shouldn't have. To really understand what happened last year, we need to go back a bit. This type of strange explosion was spotted first in June 2018. The blue blast happened about 200 million light-years from Earth and got the nickname the Cow. No, this happening didn't resemble a cow at all, but it did have an unusual format. Back then, this blast was the most asymmetrical explosion ever seen by astronomers. It burst into space in a flattened pancake-like shape, not in a typical sphere as they would expect. This phenomenon was similar to a supernova, which is the most common type of cosmic explosion that happens when a star exhausts its nuclear fuel and collapses under its own gravity. However, scientists also noted 3 crucial differences. Number 1, this phenomenon is more powerful than a typical supernova. When it happens, the blue burst emits more energy than an entire galaxy of hundreds of billions of stars like the Sun. Number 2, it's much faster. The explosion reaches its peak brightness and fades away within a matter of days, while a supernova can take weeks or even months to completely dissipate. Then the last difference, these blue bursts can also be much brighter. These mysterious objects are considered the brightest known optical phenomenon in the universe. But unlike a regular supernova, it's believed that there are no radioactive elements to power this brightness. So that means the power must come from somewhere else. The question is, from where? This is just one of the mysteries that the scientists are trying to figure out. There have been some heavy investigations since the event was first observed, and 15 telescopes around the world are constantly looking for it. Since 2018, these extreme explosions have been spotted about once a year. So while they're rare, they're not incredibly uncommon. There are several possible explanations for the existence of these fast optical transients. Perhaps the most acceptable one is that it is a stellar corpse. I mean, what is left behind when a star calls it quits. So we're looking at 2 prime suspects here. They could be a neutron star or a black hole, producing emissions close to the speed of light. The theory goes like this. There is a massive star much larger than those that produce regular supernovas. Then it starts to collapse. Such an event would certainly be expected to leave a black hole behind. Let's say this massive star isn't ready to leave the universe in a quiet way. Instead, it creates a swirling disk around the black hole composed of gas, dust, and other matter, like it matters. This disk, called the accretion disk, can shoot out streams of material at incredibly high speeds, almost like powerful cosmic jets. And that could be exactly what we see as those sudden bursts of light. Again, it's just a theory. What exactly sets off these blasts remains a mystery, and much more observation and analysis are needed. Experts believe that explaining such an oddity is a scientific goldmine. After all, we're talking about a stellar corpse that isn't just sitting there, it's actually quite active. Now, since this event was first spotted, all similar occurrences that our telescopes have captured happened in the same place. I mean, the explosions always occurred in the spiral arms of different galaxies. But last year, things changed. The Hubble Space Telescope left scientists speechless in April 2023 when its images caught this same type of weird explosion happening for the first time in the middle of nowhere. Well, it didn't happen inside a galaxy as it was supposed to. It happened in the space between two of them. More precisely, about 50,000 light-years from a large spiral galaxy and about 15,000 light-years from a small one. This event is known today as the Finch. Oh great. So when we finally get closer to finding some answers, the unusual location of the Finch phenomenon came to mess it up again. So maybe there is another explanation for it. Speculation began soon after the discovery. One idea is that it could have been a collision between two neutron stars traveling far outside their host galaxies. These two could have been spiraling toward each other for billions of years, and when they collided, they produced a flare over 100 times brighter than a normal supernova. For this hypothesis to be correct, one of these neutron stars would have to be highly magnetized, amplifying the explosion. Another possibility is that the explosion was a star being torn apart by a black hole with a mass between 100 and 1,000 times that of the Sun. Although we still have lots of questions, one thing is for sure. The Finch is a luminous, fast black optical transient. Except for the weird location where it happened, it has all the other characteristics to be classified as one. It's super bright, like me, and super fast, and its origin is super hard to explain. Plus, the data from the Gemini South Telescope, the Chandra X-ray Telescope, and the Very Large Array Radio Telescope have confirmed it. Adding this latest information only makes it harder and harder for researchers to finally find some kind of pattern in this whole event. The Finch isn't the only peculiar event in this category. Let's head back to the year before, to 2022. A blue explosion was spotted in September, and it got the nickname of Tasmanian Devil. Just like the previous ones, this blue burst came up and disappeared very quickly. Then, something mysterious happened. Exactly 100 days later, observers who were still tracking the phenomenon got an early Christmas gift. They observed another flare-up, and it was as bright and fascinating as the original one. Wait, so we're talking about two similar and strange explosions that happened at the same spot and close in time? Well, this was a first. Quickly, 13 telescopes around the globe all had eyes turned toward the Tasmanian Devil event, including one equipped with a high-speed camera. Over the course of 120 days, they managed to capture another 14 irregular light pulses. This was certainly amazing because it proved that instead of showing up once and fading away as expected, the Tasmanian Devil continued to explode with supernova-like energies again and again and again. Can you imagine such power? This scenario still intrigues the scientific community because it pushes the limits of physics, not only because such extreme energy production, but also because of the short duration bursts. By the way, its flares last from 10 minutes to about 4 hours. Believe me, on the scale of the universe, that's considered super quick. This was the only time that an extended season of this event was observed. However, after some thought, the scientific community split their opinions about it. On one hand, the Tasmanian Devil could have been an utterly unique and one-of-a-kind event. On the other hand, maybe it was just the first time that our telescopes caught it from a more face-on angle. To further understand what's happening, scientists still need to observe larger samples of the phenomenon. All hopes are in the upcoming Vera C. Rubin Observatory, which is currently being constructed in Chile. It will have a 27.5-foot wide telescope, coupled with the world's largest digital camera ever fabricated for this purpose. According to NASA, this technology might finally give us some answers about these blue explosions. We can expect some exciting times ahead, as this could be the start of a new chapter in our understanding of stellar evolution.